Welcome to episode 10 of Creating a Legacy, where in today's video I'm going to recap the second half of my 5th season in charge of West Ham. So at the end of part 9, this is where you left me. At the halfway stage of the season, we were unbeaten in the Premier League, 51 points, 9 above Liverpool. This is the situation at the end of the January transfer window. We're still unbeaten, 20 wins, 4 draws, 64 points, 12 ahead of our nearest rivals Arsenal, although they do have 2 games in hand. And it has been a big January for us. Only 1 signing made, but I've broken the West Ham transfer record again. Lasandra Martinez has joined for £99 million from Real Madrid. 26-year-old centre-back, 14 caps and 2 goals for Argentina. Only moved to Real Madrid a couple of years ago for £38 million from Ajax, so they've made a healthy profit. But he's a world-class centre-back. He's left-footed and he sits alongside Debo, who we signed last summer perfectly. They're both elite centre-backs. We have a really good partnership now. My board signed him. Just like I did with Max Aarons, I asked the board to go for him and make him my number 1 transfer target. And that's why it was £99 million. The board agreed that. They sorted out the contract, 150k a week, which I don't think is too bad considering how much money we've spent on him. Certainly not the highest earner at the club. Of course, we've got Skangov, Pellegrini, Dilrosun and Olmo all on 200k a week. We've got Belotti, Rice up there, Doro, and then Martinez down here with Todibo. I'm really delighted with this signing. He's just such a perfect partner for Todibo, and playing in this ball-playing defender role, both of them, and alongside Pellegrini and Aarons, we have a really solid back four now. And an exciting back four. It's not just solid, they're just really exciting, attacking-minded defenders as well. They're just brilliant all-rounders. I have sold a player as well. Issa Diop has gone. He was a brilliant servant for the club for a few seasons. He's been excellent, really solid, getting very good average ratings, been our best centre-back during the series so far. But it was time to let him go. What with Todibo coming in last summer and Martinez coming in January, it just made sense to move him on, especially at the age he's at, 27. He's in his peak. Get a decent fee for him, £33 million a week. £33 million for him, and he's moved to China. He's on £275,000 a week. Obviously, in real life, there's a wage cap now, isn't there? But I'm guessing that hadn't been implemented into FM20 before that was decided. And as always, a few players have gone out on loan. So it's nearly the end of March, and we've had a bit of a bad patch. And unfortunately, it's resulted in us not being able to compete for that quadruple this season that I was hoping for. We're still in the Champions League and we're still top of the Premier League, but we're out the Carabao Cup. We lost the final, in fact, against Liverpool 3-1, and we're also out of the FA Cup. And as you can see, it's been a bit of a tricky spell. Now, in the world of Football Manager 2020, it's been a big week because there's been an update. There's been quite a few problems with FM20. I have mentioned them before. One-on-ones has been a particularly tricky situation for Football Manager because there's so many misses. Like one-on-one with the keeper, more often than not, 99% of the time your striker misses. I've been playing on the public beta for the last couple seasons, and it's definitely helped. It's been much better than the original version of FM20. But they have released a proper update now, which will have automatically downloaded if you do own the game. And my first game on the update was positive. We won 4-0 against Reading away from home. However, they're bottom of the table, so it's an expected win. And we also beat Leeds 2-1, newly promoted Leeds. I think they're newly promoted. Can't quite remember, but either way, it's 2 expected wins. But then we started to struggle. Carabao Cup final, we lost 3-1 after extra time. Liverpool have been unbelievable on this save, and they've certainly been our biggest challenger. We've really struggled against them. They scored a penalty in the 20th minute through Fabinho. Todibo got his first goal for the club in the 76th minute, but unfortunately they were too strong for us in extra time. So we were unable to win the Carabao Cup, unfortunately. If we just look at the recent winners, they've won 2 in a row now. We won the previous one to that, but we've only won 1 Carabao Cup so far in this series. Next game, though, was a bit of a shock because we lost against bottom of the table Reading in the FA Cup. However, I did put out a weaker team, so maybe it is to be expected when you're putting out a slightly weaker team. We played Botero up front, who scored twice. He's really impressed me this season. He's a wonder kid now, by the way. He's got 1 goal in 1 game for Colombia at the age of 20. So that was the one impressive plus point from this game. We also played Cameron Kemp, who's also described as a wonder kid, by the way, these days. We played Shepherd, who's 18 now, our 18-year-old midfielder who came through the academy. And Katala, another player coming through our academy who has impressed me as well this season. 3 goals in the Premier League, by the way, and a goal in the Champions League. But it was a bit of a blow because, of course, I was hoping to win every competition this season. We then managed to get a win against Chelsea, really solid 1-0 win, but then draw against Barcelona 0-0, and then a 1-0 defeat against Liverpool in the league, our first league defeat of the season, and a 0-0 draw against Man United. Now, let's be fair, we've had some really tough games, but we've struggled to score as many goals as we were previously managing. We beat Birmingham City 7-0 earlier in the season. Belotti scored 4 goals, Katala scored twice, and Shepherd scored his first goal for the club. But I thought it was time for a change of tactics. So I'm going to tweak things towards the end of the season to see if we can implement a new tactic. Yes, it was tough teams, but I still don't think it's quite working the same way as it was prior to the update. So that has killed us a bit. It's knocked us out 2 cup competitions, and it's made us lose our first Premier League game. We're still a long way clear, 8 points clear. We should easily romp to the Premier League title. But there's certainly been some problems over the last few games that I want to rectify. It's now the end of the 2023-24 season, and I can confirm that West Ham are champions for the 3rd season in a row, 4 times out of the last 5 seasons as well. It has been such an impressive year. I think it's the most points we've managed as well, 97 points. If I just scroll back, we've beaten the 96-point tally. That first season we got 92. So it is our best season yet, although we haven't managed to go unbeaten this year as we did a couple seasons ago, of course. But very, very impressive. 92 goals scored. So the best attack in the league and the best defence overall, just the best team all round, finishing 12 points clear of Liverpool. And we're in the Champions League final again for the 4th season in a row. And we're taking on Liverpool again. Of course, we lost against them back in 2021. We then lost against PSG and got revenge against Liverpool last year by beating them in the final, thanks to 2 own goals, remember. Now we're going to Camp Nou for this final, for our 4th Champions League final in a row, which is just remarkable, really. And I'm desperate to beat Liverpool. They beat us in the Carabao Cup final, of course, but we did finish above them in the league, so that's one blessing. But I just find it so tough to take them on. They've beaten us a couple times this year. Now I have changed the tactic, as you can see here. It's a little bit different. We've moved Olmo up. He was playing as an attacking midfielder, but I've recently changed him to being a shadow striker behind Belotti. Declan Rice has moved from defensive midfield to here. He's playing as a deep line playmaker on defend, which is the same duty he was playing in this position, but I've moved him up, and he's picking up assists. He's been really impressive in central midfield for me. Still described as an elite midfielder, by the way. He is so good. Playing alongside Fornals as an advanced playmaker. Now, I know some people say you can't really play 2 playmakers in midfield in the same tactic, but it's working for me. They're both playing really well. High pass percentage rates. I've tweaked the instructions. So like I said, I wanted to change the tactic because of that sort of slump that we had here. And it has really worked. As you can see, we've been fantastic in the Champions League. Forgot to mention that we beat Barcelona comfortably, by the way, 3-0 at home, and then a 0-0 draw to get us through to the quarter-final, where we defeated Juventus 3-1 and 4-1. And then in the semi-final, a 0-0 draw and a 2-0 win against Man United was enough to put us into the final. We've been scoring so many goals since I've changed the tactic. Look, it was clearly the tactic. Very few goals during these games. Suddenly, 3-0, 3-1, 4-2, 4-1, 3-1, 4-0. At least 3 goals in all of those games. Bit of a slip up against Man United, but still a good point, a good 0-0 draw away from home, and then a decent point against Spurs away from home, 2-0, 4-2, and then on the last day of the season, a 6-2 thrashing over Wolves, who we have historically struggled against. Really impressive, 6 different goal scorers as well. So we're heading into this final in fantastic form. Unfortunately, Declan Rice is suspended for the final because he got sent off against Man United in the second leg. We were 2-0 up and he got sent off because I've actually told him to tackle harder. So it was kind of my own fault, to be honest. So we're going to have to decide who to play there instead. But it really has been a phenomenal season. Belotti's got 30 goals in the league and 39 goals in all competitions. So he has broken Sebastian Haller's record of 38. Looking to get 40 as well. That would be an amazing milestone. He's described as an elite striker, finally. I think he was briefly described as an elite striker for a couple of weeks. but he has been described as this for the last couple of months now. He really is a phenomenal striker. Really, really good. And if we look at him compared to the rest of the team, 39 goals. More than double what Dilrosun has managed. But Dilrosun, what a player he is. He is so damn good. 18 goals, 16 assists this season. Phenomenal. Olmo was struggling a bit until we changed him into a shadow striker. Had a really good start to the season, but he's really performed well in the last couple games as he's got used to that role. Botero, 10 goals this season as our second choice striker. High hopes for him. Sigangov. That's not how you pronounce it. Someone did tell me how to pronounce it in the comments, but I've forgotten it now. He's been up and down. Not massively consistent. He's been good in the Premier League, not so good in the Champions League. He's actually unhappy, I think. But yeah, he is unhappy. He's unhappy because I didn't improve the coaching team, which apparently I promised at the start of the season. So he's going into this Champions League final in a mood, basically, because I didn't improve the coaching team. And Diangana, despite having a fairly quiet season, has somehow got 10 goals. Like he has played well at times. He's one of those players that's a little bit inconsistent. He can play extremely well or fairly poorly. So I don't know if I regret rejecting £40 million bid from Everton or not. Perhaps I can get even more for him. If someone bid £60 million for him in the summer, I think I'd sell him. He's a quality player. He's come through our academy. It's nice to keep these players around, but I don't think I could reject a £60 million bid if someone came in for him for that much anyway. So we are going to play this Champions League final today, but let's just take a look at a few other things before we get on with today's live match. So Premier League wise, if we just look at the awards, it has been a really good season for a lot of our players. Salah has picked up Footballer of the Year again, though. He is just so damn good. Player of the Year as well. He's just unbelievable. Obviously world class, but he's now described as a legendary winger. Usually Real Madrid sign him, I find, on Football Manager, but that hasn't happened this time around. I picked up Manager of the Year for the third season in a row, my fourth time. I'm actually in the Hall of Fame now. Take a look. Here I am. Where am I? I got a message saying I was in the Hall of Fame. Maybe it's just for England. Oh, there I am. If I just look at England, I'm the 7th best manager, English manager of all time now. So that's exciting. Team of the Year, we dominated. Adoro, Aarons, Todibo, Pellegrini, Dilrosun, Fornals and Belotti. Martinez would be there probably if he'd played for the entire season, but of course we only signed him in January. He's played very well, by the way. Young player of the season, Max Aarons at the age of 24. And by the way, he's described as an elite fullback and he's got 2 caps for England now. However, he's injured for this Champions League final. Massive blow. Picked it up in training, I think. Was it in... I think it... No, it was... Yeah, just before the... No, he got in... What am I talking about? He got injured in... Did he get injured in this game? No, he didn't. He scored an own goal. I think he must have got injured between the Newcastle and Wolves game. It doesn't really matter. He's injured for this final, which is a big blow, especially as... Bashalko's really dropped off. He's not particularly good anymore. He's actually moving on a free to Sporting in the summer because his contract's up. And he's only just come back from injury as well. So I'm actually going to be playing someone else there who we'll talk about in a bit. But it's brilliant to see Max Aarons on to develop into being a world-class fullback. He's got into the England team. He's the number 2 behind Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course. And he's won the Players' Young Player. I think it's weird when a 24-year-old wins this award. Obviously, Belotti, top goal scorer of 30 goals in the Premier League. And goal of the season, Max Aarons actually picked up 2nd place. Let's have a look at his goal. It was a rather good strike, I must say. Have a look at this. Pellegrini crossed it in and Aarons... power. What a strike. So you're probably wondering what's going on with some of our young players. Well, I think the standout player at this point in time is the wonder kid right back that we signed last summer for only £130,000 from Atalanta. He's moved on loan to Swansea just for the second half of the season. Scored a couple goals, 4 assists, really impressive average rating for Swansea, and they've just got promoted via the playoffs. So he's played a big part in that, and I think next year he's going to be our number 2 right back behind Max Aarons. I've got to try and push him into the team, play him in cup games and that sort of thing. It's a shame he's not back in time for the Champions League final because I would play him. He's that good. He's really impressed me out on loan. Other players to watch out for. Raimundo Cassini has played very well for under-18s and under-23s this season and was part of the under-23 team that managed to win a competition. They won the Leasing.com trophy. as you can see here. Really good run of games. They've won loads of friendlies. On top of that as well, plenty of goals scored this season. And then a 6-1 win against Wigan Athletic. Remember, that's the Wigan Athletic first team, technically. Will Palmer, Lasandra, Cassini, Wagnerman, Botero and Leach with the goals, who's a new player that we've recruited, by the way. So Wagnerman featured. Now, I in this competition, I tend to try and play any first-team players under the age of 23, just to make it as strong as possible. Wagnerman is really good. He's not far off Pellegrini's standard, actually, looking at him. He's developed it into an even better player since joining us. I like him a lot. So yeah, I'm very pleased with the under-23's development this year. Under-18s have also had another very good season. They did win the league by 11 points, so regained that title. Last year was the first year they didn't manage to win that. Unfortunately, they did lose the final against the northern team, which was Newcastle this time around, as you can see here. 2-0 defeat in the final. But overall, very good season. It's particularly impressive considering I don't think the under-18s has been quite as strong as previous years, because I've moved a lot of the best players up to the under-23s these days. Now, this chap, Lesage, is the player that is going to play in the Champions League final. We signed him for £3.7 million from Lyon, and I like him. He's got 17 on crossing, decent physicals. I could play Wagnerman at right back, or Vashalko, of course, but I'm gonna throw him in the deep end. It's a brave thing to do. He's played one Premier League game, one FA Cup game for us. He's not played in the Champions League all season, and he's going to be thrown in to take on Liverpool in the biggest game in football. So it is a very brave move, but I've got every faith that he will perform well in this final. The other players that have played out on loan, and Andelevic, who we signed last season for £7.5 million with Dortmund, moved back to Dortmund and actually broke into their first team eventually, mainly coming off the bench, but he got 4 goals and played all right. So I'm looking forward to him coming to the club for the first time, really, and featuring in the under-23s next season. Simon Leach is a player to watch out for. He's just come through the academy this season. This is his first season and has serious potential as a striker. I'm excited about him. And Che Lane, out on loan at Portsmouth for the second half of the season. Really like the look of him as well. He's played very well. He managed to help keep Portsmouth up with 4 goals for the club in 16 games and a good average rating. If we look at the players out on loan and see who's played well, so Amato, of course, Rebello for Stuttgart, another Colombian player that we have, a left back with 3 caps for Colombia, so we might be able to get a work permit soon, especially if we give him a bigger contract. Quite impressed that he's played for Stuttgart and helped them to a 5th place finish. They were 3rd at one point, they dropped to 5th in the end, so I'm pleased with that, pleased that he's got plenty of game time over there. Dario Jimenez at our affiliates played pretty well. Another Colombian. We've got so many Colombians. Che Lane, of course. Melo out on loan, another Colombian. Serrano, another Colombian. Todorov, unfortunately, was relegated with Forest Green. He got 3 goals and 8 assists this season, but some experience. He's not developed like I thought he would. I really had high hopes for him at one point, but I don't think it's going to quite work out for him. I'm actually more excited about the Russian, Nikiforov, who was at Boa Vista. He's already been capped by Russia, the first team, twice, and he's developing nicely. Could be a really useful player in the future. So other than Simon Leach, there's 2 other players with really good potential that have come through the academy. It was a very good year, actually. So Simon Leach, of course, is the striker, 3.5, potentially 4.5 potential. Then there's Dan Suarez, who can add some bite to our midfield. He's also got very good potential. And lastly, the best of the lot, really, in terms of potential, is Richard Robinson. I do love an alliterative name. A centre-back with 4-star potential, potentially 5. He's not a ball-playing centre-back, so he won't necessarily fit into our system, but maybe we can work on that over time. He's only 16 and he's got some impressive attributes. So yeah, there's high hopes for those players coming through. I'm excited about that. Anyway, I think it's time to get on with this Champions League final. Let's have a look at the match preview quickly. They've got a very good record against us. They've beaten us 10 times, drawn 3 times, and we've won 4. Crucially, we won the Champions League final last year, of course, but they want revenge for that. However, we can go into this game asking for revenge because we've lost, I think, our last 2 games against them, if we just have a look. In fact, we haven't won against them since that Champions League final. Beat them 2-1. We then lost the Community Shield, of course. We then drew 2-2 away from home, and that was 2 late goals from Belotti that got us that point. We lost the Carabao Cup final, and then we lost 1-0 in the league. However, remember the last 2 games when the update came out and I hadn't changed my tactic. Now this is the team we're going with. Unfortunately, Martinez picked up a slight knock a day before the Champions League final, but he's fine to play. He's fit. It's just a little bit of an injury, a tight groin. He might get injured in the final, but we have to risk him. We have to risk our best players for the final. Like I said, Lasandra at right back, Todibo at the back as well, and Pellegrini at left back, and behind all those 4, Odero in goal. One player I think perhaps we could improve upon in the summer. He's a really good goalkeeper, but it would be nice to try and get a world-class talent in goal as well. So instead of Declan Rice, who's of course suspended, we're going to be playing the American Weston McKennie, who I've not really talked about much over the last couple of years, but he's played well since he signed for £19.5 million. Often comes off the bench as a defensive midfielder, comes in and he's a tenacious defensive midfielder. According to the media, I think that describes him brilliantly because he's got aggression of 17, bravery of 17 and 15 on tackling. So he knows how to win the ball back. He's an experienced player. He's only 25, but he's got 59 caps for USA. And I've changed the deep line playmaker role to ball-winning midfielder role. Firstly, because it suits him, but secondly, he can win the ball back from that strong Liverpool midfield and attacking lineup, hopefully anyway. Fornell's playing alongside him as the advanced playmaker. He's had a good year for us. The first year where he's really been sort of that number 1 player in central midfield. He was always playing second fiddle to Lanzini, of course. And we have changed the role a bit. I used to have dribble more and he'd sort of roam from positions when it was Lanzini playing there. But that doesn't quite suit Fornells as much. He's only got 13 on dribbling. We've got Skangov on the right-hand side, playing as an inside forward. Still unhappy about the poor coaching. Well, not necessarily poor coaching. He's unhappy that we didn't improve the coaches. Olmo playing in the shadow striker role. I love this guy, so good. Then on the left-hand side, Dilrosun, who's probably the best player in the team. He's got the highest average rating. He's just been ridiculously good. And then Bellotti up front, Andrea Bellotti. He's looking for his 40th goal of the season. We've got plenty of players on the bench, quite a few youngsters. Christensen, Perozio, Cardoso, Vashalko, Wagnerman, Lokonga, Shepherd, Kemp, Katala, Diangana, Patera and Lamgahez, who's the only player that's been promoted from the under-23s for this game to make up that 12th spot. The bench is really young, actually, apart from Vashalko, really. Here we are then in Barcelona for this Champions League final. Our 4th in a row. What a magnificent achievement that is. But we want to win it. We want to beat Liverpool, who are putting out a very strong team, of course. Firmino up front. They've still got him. They tend to play Milik usually up front, but I think he must be injured at the moment. Salah, no introduction needed on the right-hand side. Sancho, who they signed last year. I think he played in the last Champions League final. Signed him for £89 million. He's had another good season, of course. Keita is always really good against us, alongside Frankie de Jong. I think all of their players are world class. Florentino Luis, yeah, they're just so good. Robertson's their captain. Van Dijk is injured, by the way, so that's a positive for us. They're playing Jonathan Tah and Fabinho as centre backs, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is so good. Look at him. His lowest rating, his lowest attribute is finishing of 11. He's got nothing below 11. He could play anywhere on the pitch. He's so damn incredible. And then Alisson in goal, one of the best goalkeepers, possibly the best goalkeeper on the game right now. Always stops numerous opportunities for me, which is very frustrating. Anyway, let's get on with this. I'm going to say we owe Liverpool after last time. That seems to have worked. I'm going to passionately speak to Bellotti, and I'll leave it at that, I think. And then player instruction wise, I think we need to close down Trent Alexander-Arnold because he's just so ridiculously good at whipping crosses in. We'll close down Salah and Keita, and we will get on with this. Champions League anthem being played. We're in our huddle. We're ready. I hope we're ready. Send good vibes, particularly for Lasandra. Champions League debut in the final at the age of 18. Here's McKennie into Olmo. Early attack for us. Back to McKennie. Does well. Into Fornells. Turns. Great ball to Lasandra. He's round the back here. Has the shot. He scores! Unbelievable. You obviously sent good vibes because he's just smashed one in on his Champions League debut in the final. That is sensational. Well, this has paid off. Obviously, a lot could change in this game, but either way, whatever happens now, the fact that he has scored is just Unbelievable, really. Oh, I'm so happy for him. He must be over the moon. Imagine what he must be feeling. Okay, 24 minutes in. Not much has happened. We've only had that one shot. And, of course, we scored from it. They've had two. Here's Lasandra. Pin it over for Scangoff. Running into the box. Still going. There's too many shots from the angle still from wingers. That was a problem on the game prior to the update, and it's still an issue, I think. Anyway, let's not focus on the negatives. We'll focus on the positives. We're 1-0 up against Liverpool. Almost just picked up a little bit of a knock, so that should hopefully be okay. 42 minutes on the clock, and Sancho, good ball into Salah. Can he beat Pellegrini? He's gone back to Trent instead. He runs into the box, and it's a good block by Pellegrini. Back to Salah, and Pellegrini intercepts. Fornals now knocks it long, looking for Belotti, who's got onto it, and he can run. Instead, he's played it back to Dilrosun. That was probably sensible. Into McKennie. He's on a yellow. We'll have to watch out for that. I'll probably bring him off at half-time, actually. Odero into Martinez. I mean, McKennie on a yellow is just a walking red card. He's good at winning the ball, but I just imagine he's going to get us a second yellow. Dilrosun into the box. But Olmo makes it 2-0. Oh, wow. Well, this is good. This has been a very good first half. Dilrosun with a decent cross in, and Olmo with his 12th goal of the season. It was quite a long build-up to that goal. Wasn't really sure where the highlight was going, but Dilrosun ran. Nothing particularly special from him. He just sort of retreated a little bit, which flummoxed Trent Alexander-Arnold, and then Olmo applied the finish. Excellent first half display. I will take McKennie off, though, to be on the safe side. He's done his job so far, but we just can't afford him to get sent off. Very happy with that, and I would probably throw on, I think Lokonga's really the only player that could play there. He's not a ball-winning midfielder, but he's got 13 on tackling, brave, a terrible aggression though. He's not really a ball-winning midfielder, but there's not anyone else that could play there unless I move someone like Todibo into me. I don't want to play around with that too much. We're gonna keep it simple. I could play him as a... Let's not change things. Let's keep it the way it is. We've still got on attacking. I went attacking from the start, and it has worked. We'll go balanced, because I don't think we need to keep pushing forward, and we'll be more expressive off. So a couple tweaks, but I'm not going to play around with the player roles, because obviously it's worked very well so far. It's a shame Declan Rice has missed this final, but there we go. Sancho's round the back here. Oh, good save. That would have been far too an easy goal to concede. I'm going to actually get the fullbacks to go to support, because when I've left it on attacking in the past, players just get in round the back far too easily. So we're going to do that. And Salah will take the corner, whip to the back post, headed well over by De Jong, and we will play out from the back. I haven't actually told Odero to play out from the back specifically now. I've removed those instructions, but we do tend to play out from the back anyway. Oh, Belotti heads over, quite a long way over, not really. Apparently it was a clear-cut chance. Here come Liverpool, looking to get back into it. There's still plenty of time for them to do so. Here's De Jong, decent ball over. Robertson, all the way back to Florentino, into De Jong. Oh no, Salah puts it wide. That was a chance. Oh no, free kick, Salah. Oh, it's headed wide by Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I'm going to bring our unhappy player off, Victor Scangoff, it's been affected by this coaching situation. It's really weird. I'm going to throw on Diangana. That's the sensible option. We could chuck on Katala, who's been fabulous when I've played him, and Cameron Kemp, our wonder kid, who's also played fairly well. But we're going to be sensible and throw on Diangana. Well, it's been a comfortable second half. We're going to do a bit of time wasting now. I'll save the last sub to waste a bit more time, I think. Oh, what a performance from Lasandra at right back, scoring that all-important first goal. I'm so happy for him. 5 minutes ago. Okay, we're going to waste a bit more time by making the sub. I'm going to actually take Olmo off, I think, and bring on one of our youngsters. I'm going to go with Lewis Shepherd. He's actually the youngest of the youngest player on the bench, I think. Lokonga will go there. Shepherd will go here, and he will play as an advanced playmaker on support. Just an extra man in midfield. No need to really risk things. Let's go with that. Play it sensible. 3 men in midfield. We're going to do it. We're going to win our second Champions League final in a row. 2 out of 4. We've won a free kick right at the death. Dilrosun to kill it off. Here we go. Yes, he's done it. 3-0. Perfect free kick. Dilrosun with his 19th goal of the season. The only way this game would have been topped is if Belotti had scored his 40th goal of the season. wasn't to be for him. But this is a wonderful free kick to end a wonderful season. And since I've found this tactic that works on the update, it really has been unstoppable. If we'd had that for the Carabao Cup final and the FA Cup, it might have been a different story. We might have managed to secure our first quadruple. But it's not going to happen this season. But perhaps it will be next. There's always something to strive for, isn't there, in the next season. Man of the match was Dilrosun in the end with a goal and assist. I suppose he wouldn't have picked up man of the match if it wasn't for that free kick at the death. Look at Lasandra with an 8.1. It probably would have been him, in fact. Unbelievable performance from the 18-year-old. Not just because of his goal, though. I think defensively he must have been pretty solid as well. We didn't really see him do much else, but there must have been something good about him to get that rating other than just a goal. Oh, wow. What an achievement. Let's just take a quick look at the in-depth stats then of the final, just to see how Lesage performed overall. So he completed 82% of his passes, one key pass, 3 crosses, one of which was successful. He won 8 tackles, 87%. So he actually won the most tackles from our team. He didn't win 100% of his tackles, but he won the most. 1 key tackle, 1 foul, 2 interceptions, 75% heading, 1 key header, 2 dribbles, obviously the goal. So that really was a very impressive performance. If you look at Dilrosun, who was man of the match, didn't actually complete many passes, only 26. But for him, I think it's usually dribbles really. Yeah, 4 dribbles completed. What a special day for the club. Amazing performance. It looks so good. It looks so good that we've won 2. Losing those first 2, that was a massive blow. But since then, we've gone from strength to strength, and we've beaten Liverpool 2 finals in a row now. We've got proper revenge for that first final defeat, haven't we? And we are the biggest team around now. We should be able to attract all the talent in the world. Unfortunately, the board they've not gone crazy. They've given me £78 million for the summer rather than sort of £200 million. Although, no, actually, we have signed someone, to be fair, already that's coming in the summer. So, preview of next season. We're signing an American striker. He's actually 26, but he's a regen. Now, the reason why this region's just popped up randomly is because I've now loaded the American League into the game. So these are all the leagues I have loaded. I've loaded the MLS, and I think when you do that, it sometimes just creates regens that are a bit older. But he's really good. I don't know how many games he'll play because Belotti will still be first choice next season. And maybe it seems a bit of a shame to bring him in, considering we've got Botero, a Colombian. But I want to sign the best players. I want to create the best team. Apparently, he's better than Belotti, according to my scout, but I doubt that, to be honest. We've completed the treble of the Champions League, the Premier League, and the European Super Cup, which of course we'll compete in next season again. £16.36 million for winning the final. 25 players get Champions League medals, and Belotti was top goal scorer by the looks of it. Yeah, 8 goals, a joint with Dilrosun, in fact. And Adero got the most clean sheets. So let's end episode 10 by taking a look at individual player performances then. So Todibo actually ended up making the most appearances this season. Belotti, of course, was top goal scorer with 39. The most assists this season went to Dilrosun with 17. And then Skangov with 15. Fornals with 14 as well from central midfield. And Declan Rice with 10. He really did improve in that regard when he moved into a more central role. Man of the match wise, Dilrosun easily the best with 10. And average rating, once again, Dilrosun. Phenomenal. And Lesage, second. Only played 3 games and it was obviously down to that Champions League final. But so many impressive performances this year. Looking at the value of our players, Declan Rice is the most valuable player in the team. He's now a model citizen. He didn't used to be that. I think it used to be Resolute or something, but he's moved up to model citizen, which is the best personality you can have. He'll continue to improve because although he's 25, he plays in a more defensive-minded or deep-lying midfield role. And those players, mentally, they tend to improve. Technically, they just tend to improve throughout their 20s. Whereas maybe an attacking player will peak at sort of the age of 23 and won't necessarily improve massively after that point. I think Declan Rice can continue to improve and be a star for England. Of course, he's already won a World Cup medal, hasn't he, with them? Olmo also worth £67 million. Phenomenal talent. Of course, scored in the Champions League final. And then Dilrosun also. Now, he's got some interest, I think, from Real Madrid. So it'd be interesting to see if they put a bid in for him. I've set an asking price of £200 million. If they want to bid £200 million, I'm not going to reject that. There's no chance I could reject that. But I imagine if they did put a bid in, it's probably going to start at about 80, 90 million pounds. Fornal's also worth a lot of money. A player I'm tempted to sell because he's now 28. He's in his peak. He's only recently become a really important player for me, but he's always been a model citizen. So he's always had that ability to be a good mentor, I think. This is currently what's going on with my mentoring, by the way, for those of you interested. Hopefully he's impressing upon the likes of Botero, Katala and Kemp, who will continue to push on and hopefully next season feature even more. But there's so much money in this team. I mean, Belotti, in some ways it kind of makes sense to sell him now. He's 30. It's what I did with Lanzini and Anderson, of course, but I don't know. I think I've got to keep him as the number one striker next year, unless this American chap actually comes in and is better than him. We'll see, I suppose. Martinez worth £62 million. I'm so happy with this squad. And the amazing thing is, even when I lose a player like Max Aarons for that final, I can call upon essentially the fourth best, maybe, it depends if you think Vishalko's better than him or not, I suppose, but easily the most inexperienced right back in the team. And remember, if I'd had Amato, who was out on loan at Swansea, in this squad, he'd have played ahead of Lesage. So I called upon maybe the fourth best right back at the club, and he scored. It's just amazing. So all these young players are stepping up and performing when required. I'm just so happy with this squad, but I'm going to continue to try and improve it. That's the aim. I want to try and create a world-class team that are unstoppable in every single competition. Of course, the dream would be to go unbeaten for an entire season in every single competition. This year we lost the Community Shield, we lost a game in the Champions League group stage. We didn't lose again until that Carabao Cup final, and then obviously we had a bit of a bad run. But we only lost 5 games in all competitions this season, and only 1 in the Premier League. It's going to be really hard to improve upon that. I have done it before with West Ham. I've managed to go a whole season in all competitions unbeaten. And I remember doing it with Arsenal back on Football Manager 2005. Was it 05? Oh, no, 2008, sorry. Football Manager 2008. I went 2 entire seasons unbeaten with Arsenal. So it is doable, but obviously it's extremely tough to go in an entire season. You can't slip up once. You have to be on it every single game. And if you're losing a game towards the last few minutes, you just have to take risks and go for it and tweak things and tinker and try and make sure you can grab a goal and keep your unbeaten run going. Anyway, I think we'll end it there. I think I've covered pretty much everything. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching another successful season. Episode 11 will of course be the start of season 6. I'm really enjoying this save. I'm just having so much fun. It helps when you win, doesn't it? But I'm loving building a club and creating a legacy. We have created a legacy already, but we want to keep it going. We want to have a Sir Alex Ferguson style legacy, managed for a number of years, win everything multiple times, just be completely dominant. That's the aim. Anyway, until next time, enjoy FM20, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you very soon.